Hi everyone and welcome to the Recruitment Brothers Podcast. With an age gap of 17 years and two heavy Swedish accents, we're here to cover everything about, yeah, you guessed it right, recruitment.
And now over to the older brother Rickard. Welcome to our podcast. Although recruitment is our focus, we will also talk about sports, business development and leadership. And we will invite some inspiring guests. Let's get straight into it. Hello everyone and welcome to Recruitment Brothers Podcast, episode 13. Hello Martin.
Hello Rickard, hello.
Hello, how is life?
Good. For the most part, it's been a very fast start to the year. Can't believe that it's already February here soon. So that's a sign, I guess, of that things are fun, things are moving. So it's good. How about yourself?
All good. Just arrived. Rainy Malaga, to be honest. So it's winter down here in South Spain as well. So it's a bit different from what you're used to when you go here. But I'm happy to be in Spain again and enjoying everything with the lifestyle here.
Nice. For how long are you there?
Week stay approximately.
Okay. That's
so nice. It's always nice to visit and also having the chance to work with the colleagues here in Malaga. Mm-hmm. I think this is our biggest site, so you also have the chance to catch up with around.
Yeah, that's cool. I heard you're not alone there in the office today, although it's weekend.
Kral brothers are here and prepping his week, so it's was a funny moment here when I stepped into the door, and then I heard some sound in the office, and I was like, "What is this? Have the cleaner or someone forgot a radio or a stereo on?" And then I saw a gym bag, and then I stepped into the main office, and then I saw one of the Kral brothers, Renato, sitting there and doing his pipeline management and sourcing.
Yeah, that's dedication.
Yeah, Sunday. But yeah, nice. Today we will talk a bit about client management. But before we jump into that part of, call it the business that we are also doing daily with clients. It's nice also to have a small catch up on what you have been doing lately, and also maybe if some of the things we will talk about today have a daily impact on your work.
Absolutely. No, like I mentioned there, I think the month has gone really fast. It's been a lot of fun, and I think that the period of both Christmas and New Year's is really over. It affects until the mid-January approximately, but now when we're approaching February, we're back to normal basically. I remember I spoke to some people on the Asian market last week for a role I was recruiting for, and there was the opposite. Right now it's when it becomes quite slow because of Chinese New Year and so on. But yeah, here in Europe it's starting to get calm. Otherwise, no, it's been a good start to delivery to some of our key clients. I also managed to confirm one of the confidential searches that I've been working on the last 4 months. It's a senior leadership role, and it was nice to finally have it sort of confirmed. Knock on wood, we work with people in the end, but felt good. And on top of that, I managed to fix my computer. As a side note, I had some big issues with it. There was apparently a software update that was stuck on a loop. But I did some troubleshooting because I got really fed up last week, and now it's running like it's brand new. So it's been a great start to the new year. What has been new on your end?
Yeah. But first, nice. Then people can reach out to you if they have computer problems then. And then you can solve them and help them.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you have a slow running Mac, let me know. First hour is free, and then 40 euros per hour.
Myself been in Finland in a town called Puri, Björneborg. It was a world championship in bandy. Was 7 games in 7 days, so it was a lot of analyzing, match game preps. It was a lot of talks individually and also with the team, and then of course planning and playing the games, and it takes a lot of time and energy to do all that in just a compressed week of like 8 days of traveling and and being active. But it was super fun. We ended up with a bronze medal. The team party as hell. Again, like winning something, it's nice for them to win. So it was party from morning to night on the last day. And then it was a very tired team that traveled back on last Monday to Norway. But the third bronze medal. Work-wise, I think, and that is also maybe a part of the episode today, but it have been good. I see also that broadening and reactivating clients is a smart way of doing business. And but with some inspiration from the high fee placements you had with a few finance clients, I kind of was able to reactivate one of our finance investment clients. And mainly we worked with them in Luxembourg in the past, but now we got the extended contract for Dublin, Ireland. And while starting working on it and delivering candidates fast, they also reached out back to us. So some internal referral was going on in the company. And then suddenly we had a new contract with their London office as well. So that had been nice to see that we have been pushing a bit on new clients on this side of the year, and also that reactivating clients also give results fast.
Yeah. Before jumping into the client part and before leaving the Bundy part, I of course want to say congratulations to the bronze medal. I think that's really impressive, and we shouldn't skip that part so fast. So big congratulations. It was fun to be a spectator there. I got the chance to travel there, watch it very closely, and experience the World Cup, the dressing room, the celebration, all the national anthems. So it was a really good championship. So I can imagine how fun it must have been to be actually involved with the tournament itself.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you also for joining and visiting in Finland. And it was like old school sports event, outdoor, cold snow.
Exactly.
You're freezing.
It was a lot of nostalgia to the childhood, going on these type of tournaments, waking up in the hotel, going for breakfast, showing up for the meetup before the games, and prepping and all the music. And it was super nice.
But over a bit to the talking points then, I think, like I said from the beginning, we'll talk a bit about client management today and all the thing that goes with existing clients that you have signed already and clients that you have worked with for some time. We will touch a bit on why recruiters maybe today focusing too much on acquiring new clients, and maybe the hidden value a bit of inactive clients as well. And also what is the difference between a farmer versus a hunter mentality, and maybe how you can use different mindsets in different settings. But if we look into good relationships today, then Martin, what do you think is the most important thing with existing clients, and why trust also have a big value, and why it matters in a collaboration with the client?
No, but it's a very broad question, of course, and there are many, I think, parts to what makes a good client relationship. One thing that I think is really underrated, that both you and Björn, your business partner, taught me early, was to set the expectations right early on. And I like Björn's quote there that goes something in the lines of, if you lay the bricks right from day one, you can walk on them the whole life. And that's a little bit what put the foundation in the relationship, and what leads to success, that you are very clear in the beginning when you onboard a new client. How are we going to work on this together to get success? Because both parts wants to success. Otherwise, there's no reason to enter a partnership together, right? But to set the expectations when it comes to the profile, of course, the brief. Do we really understand each other here, or something unclear? So we can avoid this thing that sometimes happen, that we get a change in the brief suddenly, but that we try to check this as thoroughly as possible in the beginning of the relationship to save time and be on point from the start. But also how the recruitment process is going to go, how candidates are going to be moved from one stage to another, how much should we be involved, how much should the client be involved, do they expect us to set up the interviews, or is that going to be on them? All of these small things that we might take something for granted, they might take something for granted. So it's better to just almost do it in a extreme way when it comes to setting expectations. So I think that's where it all kind of starts when it comes to a good client relationship.
Yeah. And I think we can see that as well. If you take one of the greatest partnerships we had last year with commercial real estate client that was expanding a lot on a global scale, I think that was a proof of a relationship that has been built up over time, but that we also kind of maybe, figured out that what was the key aspects of the partnership and how should we run it with like recurring meetings or a standardized process, a candidate profile that matches the company expectations. And based on that, we started to see the success and that we could also then scale on the client, meaning that, but if we can provide this service in the Nordics, we can do the same in Central Europe and then South Europe and then APAC and then LATAM. And then from one area of expertise and a certain specialization of roles, then it broadened into more roles and other profiles and other more unique single assignments as well when it comes to leadership and so on. So I think that was a very interesting client partnership we had last year.
Yep.
What is your take out on this one?
No, but it's a good example of how you set expectations right between each other. And I would say that I remember when we started working with one of our clients and we maybe didn't have this success from the very start. And that was the truth with this client, right? And then it's about realigning and not be afraid to have the tough talks to actually receive the feedback from the client and not be defensive when it comes to your response to that feedback. But you're doing this and this, and you said we were going to look for this, but now you're changing your mind and so on. You need to like drop your guard a bit and really try to take in that client feedback that you're receiving, because otherwise you're never going to find a way forward, right? And I think that's one thing that was a key to that relationship, that we were not afraid to have feedback loops. I think we had weekly meetings, bi-weekly meetings from the very start. And then one success leads to the next one, right? Like you said, it's a performance-based job. It's about bringing in results. And once you do that from the very start, you can benchmark what led to that success and you can expand on it, like you mentioned.
Exactly. And I think, like you said, also being always curious to see what you can change on your end as well, like you mentioned. And I think one thing that really made a big impact was like creating an internal process handbook for just that client and for just that specific role. It helped a lot for everyone to have the same understanding, the same manuscript. Everything was like equal. Like you cannot go out and do your own thing here. It's like just standardize everything and also like telling the client, this is how we are going to work now and this is the way. And
No, but that was also a very good point. Like to not use, I know sometimes we tend to set up like a template and a workflow of how we're going to recruit and how we're going to do the process. And we use the same process book for all clients, but sometimes you really need to go a bit outside the box depending on what the client wants to really tailor make something for them. And I think that also what differentiates us from the competitors that they might work with, and why we've had so much success, because we have really tailor-made it. We've been open to feedback. We have also listened to the feedback. So when we receive that feedback, the next candidates and profiles that we're going to send them through is going to be according to that feedback. It's not going to be the same, because I can also imagine that that's what's going to even worsen the relationship if they take their time, they give you the feedback, but nothing is changing. You're getting the same quality of profiles, the same type, which is wrong. So that process book really made a big difference.
Exactly. And then also finding new ways of communicating. I know the classic standard is maybe like emails, and then you have this weekly meeting, but also have some direct line of communication. Can be WhatsApp or SMS or some other tool for communication, but also that you can cover like small important things fast and not waiting or being unsure, or especially now working with humans, that if something changes or someone is late or something is misunderstood, that you also have a direct line of communication to solve quick hiccups.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Yeah, but let's jump a bit over to the broadening part, because I think that is interesting. for the ones that are not working so much with client management, broadening, it's something you are doing on existing clients when you are maybe successful in one area in the partnership. So you are recruiting, say, salespeople to that company, and you see that they have a IT department that also have open roles, and you might have competence internally to help them to fill those roles. You have IT recruiters, for example, and it means that you either reach out to your contact person and ask if they need help within IT, or you ask for a referral who is in charge in your company for these IT positions, or you reach out to the person on the IT department straight, maybe the IT manager or the department manager or something, and say, hi, my name is Rickard. I'm working with your colleague Martin. I see that you are in charge of the IT development team. We have successfully hired 10 people within your company the last 3 months. Should we have a talk and see what we can do for you as well? We know your company and we know what journey you're out on and so on. So like it's to broadening within a company to get more business with that client and to use the same successful way of working with new contact persons.
Yeah, exactly. You could almost translate it to upselling and cross-selling when it comes to what a key account manager does in other types of sales. And I think this part of recruitment is really, really underrated. It's one of the best ways to get more business, and not getting more business without having to overdo things. Like you sometimes say, and our partner, don't cross the river to get water, right? When you have a successful partnership, exactly when you have that momentum, like you said, you had the recent success, it's worked really, really well. That's the perfect timing to try and broaden that client. And it can be, like you said, to within the same department, ask if they have any other roles that we can work on that are similar, because now we have obviously proven ourselves. It can be to go into a new department within the company, like IT, like you mentioned, or it could be broadening into new geographical markets also. Like, okay, we've had really good success here in Spain, but we see that you have an office recruiting for similar roles in Ireland, for example. We also support other companies in Ireland. How can we help you here, for example? So it's a really underrated way of getting new business.
The last part you mentioned there is the part that I like the most, almost within broadening an existing client, because it's kind of it's a part of business development. So it's not always that you can work on the same agreement. It might be that you need to negotiate new terms on a new location, but you use your history of success somewhere to get into a new location or a new country or a new geographic market, like you said, like expanding from Europe to APAC and using some sales tricks and use to make that happen. That is one of the parts I like the most, actually. And also that, for example, we have seen, like, especially when we started language recruitment, we could see that a big BPO company, like an outsourcing company, is operating in Portugal. We are very successful, and we see that they are operating in Greece as well. To use everything for what it's worth and just go all in to get them in Greece as well, and using all the history and storytelling to make it interesting and inspiring for the new, call it company or the new site or whatever. Broadening, I love it.
No, but I know you like it because you're also really, really good at it. Like that's one example you mentioned now, but you mentioned earlier in the discussion as well about this finance company where you're taking off 3 locations at once really, really fast. Do you have any other like tips on how to go about? Because I can also imagine that it will still sometimes be difficult, although you have a successful partnership. Let's say you have Spain, you have started to recruit for a company, it's going really, really well. You have a really good relationship with the person here in Spain. But still, especially when it comes to larger companies where they are very bureaucratic and they have long processes and completely different contact people in different countries and different entities and so on, like, do you have any tips there of how you usually go about to succeed in these cases?
Yeah, I would say that I maybe use like 2-3 different techniques. The fastest and easiest one, if you have a good relationship with someone, is to ask for a referral. Like, do you know who is in charge of that? And can you introduce me, like via email, or give me the contact details so I can call them or email them? But the second thing is to actually do some research. Like, many people think that you should only go on LinkedIn, but I can say that all companies don't have like job slots on LinkedIn. So they maybe have more jobs on their career page. So it's actually to do a research on a career page and see like which kind of positions, locations, and so on would you be able to work with on this existing client. And then the second thing, to do a research then on LinkedIn, who is in charge, maybe for that location, that department, and so on, and actually connect with them, reach out, but maybe, follow them and but tell them that you're here, maybe not trying to oversell something from the start, just building a relationship in the same way, building the trust. And then hopefully, when they are ready and when they have a need, they will know about you, and maybe they can use the existing contract as well. So they don't need to negotiate terms. They don't need to go to the legal team internally and, sign a new contract. So if they see like, okay, but I heard that you work with them in Spain, we can use the same terms in Portugal. It seems like we have a good track record in Spain, and we have an urgent need now, and they say that they can deliver. And so that have been like a way of doing it.
Yeah, no, but that's some good tips there actually that I might use myself. I mean, I'm started to work on some things internally as well, where we have started to use it for new business, but where we sort of like auto scrape career pages and LinkedIn to find jobs that we normally recruit in within our ICP, and it's a way to get leads for new business, right? But I've also started to plan to set this up to existing business, where we will have a automatic monitoring of all our clients in all geographical markets, so we can see exactly what jobs are being posted where and who is responsible for it, so we can easier get that overview at least. But then it's comes down to a lot of trust in the end. If you don't have the trust, the automations and the scraping will not matter anyways. So no, but those are some good tips.
And what you mentioned there, I think, Martin, is like really interesting, because to collect the data somewhere and to figure out like who is in charge, what kind of positions, what geographic areas, I think is a very important thing. And if you have all this data, like you mentioned, then it's much easier to then understand who should I build relationship with.
Exactly.
When is the timing to reach out? And I think that also touch a bit on the second part of the client management, that is like a passive, non-active client, and it's the reactivation. And all the data you talked about now can be on existing client list, and we say that 100 of them are not active at the moment, and you create this data and overview, then you have something to work on when it comes to reactivation.
Yeah.
And do you have any advice or tips and tricks when it comes to reactivating existing clients?
I think that reactivation, of course, it does differ a bit from broadening clients, quite a lot actually. It depends on the situation, but I think one thing that is important, and one thing that we also are planning to developing a bit internally, is to get updated live data on what's going on within these organizations. And that can go both for a company, but also for a contact person, to keep track of the changes that are happening internally. Because let's say we worked with a company 2 years ago. We had a close relationship with a sales director who was hiring in Spain. Let's say I'm using Spain as in a lot of examples this episode, I noticed, but you have to live with it. But that sales director might have moved company now 2 years later. So it's super valuable to be able to track both where has this sales director went, like where are they working now, because they will remember you and you built that personal connection, so you can help them recruit in their other company, but also to be able to track and understand who is currently in charge of that position, because it's been changing. Someone might have gotten promoted, they might have recruited a new sales director. So to be able to track these things, I think, is super important when it comes to reactivation, because even though you have that contract with them from before, it's almost like chasing new business sometimes, because that new sales director, if we use the same example in the company, doesn't have that relationship to you. They might never have heard about your company. So you need to start from square one with introducing yourself, introducing the company. What can we help you with? So it becomes really, really different from working with the active existing client than a sleeping existing client.
Nice thing here, right, is that it can go faster, at least, that you might have the terms in place so you can reuse the old contract. Maybe you can refer to someone you recruited in the past that is still in the company. Like, yeah, Rickard, I know you are the new sales director and you don't know so much about our collaboration from the past, but Martin that is still working with you now and is promoted to key account manager. I actually hired him 3 years ago, something like that. And it builds trust because it proves, and he can always ask you, and then he will get the proof that this is actually true. So I think that can actually, and I think that is a bit underestimated sometimes, to actually go this path instead of chasing new business, because here you actually have a strong case to prove and you might have terms in place. So if this person likes you or believe that you can deliver something for them, then you can almost start tomorrow. There is no like signing or telling someone else as well, convincing someone else in this person's organization. Like, you can go pretty straight into business with them.
Exactly. And it's fast, like you said, to build up that proof of, no, but we have had success with you in the past and so on.
And you actually did a strong reactivation. I remember, like, when you were pretty new in your business development career, you actually had a Forex company in Cyprus where you lived. That you reactivated for the company, and you handed it over to our IT department, and it became a key client.
Absolutely. I remember that. It was maybe a bit of a lucky shot there in the beginning. Like I said, I was fairly new to the role. I was going through existing and sleeping clients and reached out, and it worked kind of well. Let's say it's one of the key clients that we have today when it comes to IT positions. So that's one of the powers of reactivation, but also almost broadening at the same time, because we didn't have any IT roles back then either. So
So it's a nice weapon or a part of the client management process to actually look into your existing client portfolio with sleeping clients, and also the active one then to do some broadening work.
Exactly.
So you can generate more business from your existing contracts.
Exactly. But one thing about that story that you mentioned also is the fact that I handed over the client, which is something that, happens sometimes. You are managing a client, but maybe it's not working so well, or you don't have the expertise. Maybe there's someone else suited in the company to hand it over, and you can make an attempt, right, to hand it over. And we have some success stories of that internally right now, where I remember I signed a client like 2 years ago. We were off to quite a rough start. I think we had 4 placements in 2 years, so it wasn't anything like amazing when it comes to the success rate. But we passed that on from one colleague to the other, and then I think it was the 4th colleague who took on the client. His name is Max, and he has done a phenomenal job. And instead of 4 placements in 2 years, we now have 10 placements in 1 month here in January. So that's also something I think is really underrated and something companies should do more. But, when is it time to kill your darlings and drop that prestige of, but I signed that client, I'm the best suitable person to take care of it, because it's often not the case. But to stay very true to yourself, and know when it's time to step away and try someone else on that client.
Like, again, we talked about trust, but it's also about the relationships, right? It can be the chemistry between people.
Yeah.
Can be, of course, the timing that the company itself was more open to it now 2 years later to go all in with the recruitment partners instead of trying it themselves. And sometimes it's also hard to understand, like, but what was the real reason for the reactivation here, or was the right choice of being the client manager? Because, for example, the client you reactivated, the Forex client in Cyprus, but you lived in Cyprus, or at least you had lived in Cyprus in the past. So maybe that small word of trust created something. The only thing you maybe said, but I live in Cyprus myself. And they were like, okay, let's start working. Imagine if it was that easy, right?
Yeah, well, it could be.
So that small word, instead of me saying, but I'm based in Oslo, and then they are like, but why should we collaborate with someone in Oslo? But then you mentioned, I live in Cyprus, in Limassol, in this street, working for this client, my manager is this person, and maybe they know each other, or they at least have and that small little info actually generates a lot of revenue over the coming years.
Oh, but that's true. That's true. To try change portfolios around, do that more often, like shuffle them around, let new people try new clients, and especially when they are sleeping clients, there's no reason to have the same person sitting and trying to reactivate it for 6 months, 12 months. Like, switch it around, give someone else a chance. It might be, like you said, matter of a phrasing in the outreach, and then you suddenly have the client back again.
Maybe that is a part, like if we touch a bit on the mistakes you might do as a recruiter as well. That is one of the mistakes, that you sit on your portfolio. You are so proud that this is my client. No, but really it's like the company owns the client. It's a relationship between two companies, but in the end, of course, your relationship have a big value on it. But I can say with the hand on my heart, I also get bored after some time when I get success with a client to doing some repeatedly over and over again for like years. It's maybe better, like when you have examples now, that maybe a relationship I built up 4 years ago and I hand it over to you now, and you come in with new energy, new ideas, the new motivation to boost this partnership after me doing the first years. I think this is a better now solution than me still like keeping it just it's better for me to go out and try to react new ones, as an example.
Exactly. And I think that's also something I did in the past as well, sitting on clients that I have signed, for example, and I'm of course proud that I've signed them, and the only thing I want is to have success with these clients, because I signed them, they become like your babies in the end. But what I notice also is that if you drop that prestige sometime of, but I was the one signing them, and you hand them over, let's say it was not working. But then you have freed up so much time that you can put on things that might result in more success. And that's what happened for me one time, where I handed over 4 or 5 clients at once, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to free up time now. It hurts to give them away, but let's do it, and let's see the benefits of it instead. And that time I used it paid off, let's say.
Yeah, you used it for maybe more senior recruitment yourself, or new business development, or whatever it might be, and maybe also working with things that you felt more inspiring at that time.
And there are more clients out there. There are more clients out there. You don't need to get stuck on your clients that you're spending more time on than you get things back, So exactly. But then, of course, there is the scenarios where you try to work with a client, you're struggling to get success. Maybe you're trying another client manager as well. It doesn't really work. You're constantly asking for feedback. You're doing everything, let's say, right by the book, with the feedback loops, changing the brief, making a tailor-made process for the client. But at some point, you might reach a time where you need to ask yourself, is it really worth it to continue and work with this client if we have tried everything that we have in our toolbox? But that can also be difficult to know when. Like, when is it the best time to give up on a partnership, for example? Do you have any rules for yourself or thoughts on this?
No, but I think it's like connected to many things in life in general. But when you see red flags in a relationship, and it can be with a partner, a friend, family member, I don't know, client, colleague, whatever it might be, if you see the red flags, and if you see that this cannot be fixed somehow, or it's not matching your personality or your expectations or whatever, or your company values or your own values, I think that you should then go separate ways, or giving it away, and not being afraid of making that step. And it doesn't mean that it need to be forever, because, like, for example, okay, this is based on a person that you cannot work with in a good way, or they may be misusing your time or your expertise or whatever. Okay, but maybe we close the partnership for now, but the contract is there. But like, if you keep track still on the company, and you see 2 years later that they are changing the contact person, it's when you go in, right, and do the reactivation. So you don't need to give up on the client because it's because of situation with a person, but I don't think you should be afraid. And I think this is something that it's hard maybe to make those decisions yourself. So if you can talk either with a colleague or a manager or whoever, like in your company, like, okay, what should we do in this situation? Maybe even set up some standards, do a checklist. Okay, how many candidates have we sent? What is the response time? How many placements do we have the last 6-12 months? What is the revenue? If we have question marks behind each question and it's almost a red flag, but then maybe this other person can tell you, Martin, it's time to close down the partnership. And it helps you to make the decision, because it's not easy, like you said, if you sign them yourself to make that decision. But if you can have someone that push for it.
So it's a very, very good tip to get someone from the outside to come with sober eyes to look on the situation, because you're emotionally involved, right? Because you signed it. But if someone with sober eyes and you ask them like, hey, John, have a look here. Am I being like delusional now? Am I wasting my time? And John might be able to help you there to make a rational decision.
Yeah. And it goes for everything in life. It's the same if we are recruiters and I don't know, we have minimum goals and targets that we should reach. And I like you a lot as a person, but I see that you are struggling as a recruiter. We put in training, we put in follow-up, we give you new clients to work with, we give you tools for sourcing, but it's not working. But at some point, maybe someone needs to tell me, Rickard, it's time to let Martin go. This is not working. And then I have all the evidence and it's based on decision on key points that should be fulfilled that you cannot handle. And maybe this is a relief for you. Okay, Rickard, you're correct. I'm not a good recruiter. Maybe I should work in a store instead, or I should work in finance, or I'm better suitable as a HR person doing admin, back office. Like, I don't know. And it's not personal. It's just not a fit. And that it goes the same with, that's also client management, client relationship. It goes within the same with all relationships, right? And I think also, like, when you are in a client management position, when you are handling clients, it's also very important when you build this trust and set the expectations that you don't over promise and under deliver as well. And that you only reach out when you see an open role. Like, if a relationship should be two ways and it should be real, like if you want to get results of it. So it's the same to say, oh, congrats, Martin, on your birthday, or oh, Martin, cool, I saw that your company expanded with a new office or whatever. So it's not always reaching out for business, that you actually show a real interest in the person and in their company.
Yeah.
And also that you can be honest. If they say, like, Martin, can you find for a Swedish speaker in Shanghai? And then you, no worries. I have a big network, and you're kind of overpromise. And then you sit there the next day and see, like, but there is no Swedish speakers in Shanghai, and it takes 6 months to get a visa. Yeah, but then you break the trust, right, in that relationship. So kind of promise what you deliver, or don't over say too much, like, build it on trust and honest info. And it's better to say, if they ask, Martin, can you deliver 2 candidates next week? And you say, I will do my best, but I think like maybe 1 will be the maximum. And then you deliver 3. Then you over deliver on the promise instead of under deliver, that you say 2 and it become 1 and it was 50%. Now you did 150 instead. So like using also some smartness when you build relationship and trust with companies, so you can, like you said, work on those for years. It's a very important thing.
And to keep the promise that you make, that you actually walk the talk, is of course very important. And that's it's easier said than done, I think, in recruitment and in sales in general, because it's such a fine line of using your ability as selling points versus over promising, because you might have to say certain things to get that client's engagement, to get started on a relationship. But at the same time, you don't want to be that person who, but we can do this. And you sign the contract and you spend all this time and then you can't.
Yeah, I think building strong client relationships comes with this trust, like we have talked about many times. And they normally say that 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the clients. But sometimes you maybe invest 80% of your time on 20% of the revenue. So it's also to do a bit of a deep dive into what clients are generating revenue. Am I using my time right here? Am I investing the time right? Am I communicating in the right way? Like you said, maybe you are in a situation to under-deliver. Yeah, but if you then communicate, for example, saying that, Martin, sorry, I promised to, but I see that the candidates I talked with was not the quality you asked for. So I only have one strong on my hand. I'm sorry for that, but we will continue the search next week. Then you keep the trust because you communicate, right? And that is also a very important part in the client management.
Yeah, to have a feedback loop, not only from the client side, but also from our side about what's actually going on in the market, which will help you. But the salary bracket you have is not going to work because this and this and this, but you also need to then say it with evidence. So you're not like, but this salary, this budget that you have for the role, it doesn't work. We will not find any candidates. The client doesn't want to hear that. They want to hear, okay, now we have interviewed 30 candidates within the profile that you asked for. Their average salary level is this one. This what is the absolute minimum that we've been able to find. Instead of saying, no, it's not possible. You tell with evidence from the market in your feedback to the client as well. That also builds trust and also can help you to improve your chances also of success, because then they might listen to your feedback and adapt the salary range or the experience needed or the minimum requirements or whatever it might be.
So can we say now that the safest way of growth in 2026 is to look at your existing client portfolio?
Yeah, I think I'm willing to agree to that. That it's definitely something that shouldn't be overlooked, to continue to build relationships. And I liked what you said there also, not only to come to ask for roles whenever it suits you and whenever you see a role, because then it becomes a very transactional relationship, right? The only thing you speak about is that business, but people buy from people in the end, and especially in recruitment, it's such a competitive and people-oriented industry. So that's really important what you said there regarding building trust outside of the transactional talks.
Any final words, Martin, before we end this episode?
No, I got excited to make one of those client audits to see where I spend my time and where I should spend my time. So it might be that I'm doing here next week when we get started.
Yeah, nice. No, but it's always fun to jump into different topics. I think this one is very valuable as well to talk about. And like you said, it pops up some things in your own head, like things I should do more, and maybe start already next week when you talk about it.
Exactly. No, that's what I like the most about these podcast episodes that we're doing, that we're very, very passionate about recruitment, but we also have a lot to learn, and we start to reflect, we start to learn from each other. And so it's almost like a brainstorm sometimes, which feels great. So exciting. And next episode will be about new client acquisition. So there we will actually speak about not managing relationships, but maybe how to acquire new relationships.
Yeah. No, but thanks everyone for listening today. Don't forget to follow the podcast. Please share the episodes with your friends, family, and your network. And also reach out to us if you have questions.
As always. And also do not forget to follow us on Instagram, where we post some summaries from the episodes and some quotes and other fun things. So don't miss out on our Instagram page.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Ricard. Have a good one. Ciao, ciao.